Hello, and welcome back to Isaac's Reviews. It has been a little while since we've done one of these. You'll have to forgive me. Sometimes real life gets busy. But we're back, and we're reviewing another piece of entertainment that I've enjoyed. So we have covered books, comic books, we've covered several different kinds, several different authors, just basic things that I've enjoyed. I have been a superhero fan for almost as long as I can remember. Matter of fact, if you ask my family what to get me for Christmas, chances are that's all they'll come up with is something superhero related. One of the shows that I enjoyed growing up was actually from before my time. It was an older show, and I caught it in reruns growing up. I don't remember the first time I caught it on TV, but I do remember catching it on weekends. It would come on in blocks on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I would sit and watch for a couple of uninterrupted episodes. I would sit and watch and just love it to pieces. Be thoroughly entertained by this very engrossing story of this character. And I think when I was young, it was the action, the excitement, the story that kind of drew me into the character. And as I got older, I remember realizing that this character that I was following was a very sad, complicated character. And I was drawn more towards, I don't know, the wanting this person to succeed and to be happy, and it never happening in this entire show. There's a reason my wife will not watch this show with me. She finds it incredibly sad. But I thoroughly love it. I actually just went and cosplayed this character at a Comic Con that I just went to. Today, I am talking about the Incredible Hulk. And I don't know if you can see in the camera there, I got the fancy DVDs. I told you I found these at an Edward McKay. It was a used books place. They also had DVDs. This show, The Incredible Hulk. I love it. And maybe I'm blinded by nostalgia because my wife does not like it nearly as much as I do. It has a very good blend of action and excitement, and it tugs at the heartstrings. It really does. Um, like I said, I caught this in reruns. I caught random episodes here and there, but then I bought the DVDs a long time ago now, and I started watching them in order. And today I'm just going to talk about the pilot, and kind of give a review, maybe a recommendation of this show. So, the pilot, you follow a man by the name of David Banner. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Isn't the Hulk's name Bruce Banner? Sure it is. They didn't like that name when they were making the show, though. They wanted to change the name because they were trying to get away from some of the comic booky elements. They felt that Bruce Banner was too alliterative. So they changed the name to David Bruce Banner. And he went by David for most of the show. He would go from town to town and he'd refer to himself as David, something that started with a B. He didn't go by his original name, Banner. He would David Bixby or David Billingsley or David Bradford. It would always be something that started with a B. It was his alias that he would use throughout the show. But the pilot starts off with David Banner, Dr. David Banner. I believe you start off with a dream sequence of very, very happy, very light. He and his wife driving in a car, and then that dream quickly becomes a nightmare as he gets in a car accident, and the car flips and rolls, and he gets thrown from this car and scrambles back to it to try to get his wife out of the car. Something sprung a leak. There's a fire. The car is on fire. He's trying to lift it so he can get the car door open and pull his wife out of this car, and he does not succeed. He wakes up from this nightmare, and you really start the show off going, oh, this is an incredibly sad man. This is a hurt, damaged man. You go into the first couple minutes of the episode, you get what he and his partner are researching. They're researching adrenaline and the response to fear, the fight or flight response, right? And he's trying to figure out these various subjects that he interviews. He interviews, I believe, a fireman, or it may have just been someone trapped in an apartment fire. He interviews a woman that actually was in a car accident very similar to his, and he interviews someone else, I forget, a soldier, that's what it was. And their responses to this fight or flight, they achieved some crazy stuff. The one soldier rescued his buddies, and I think they pulled like 10 different bullets out of him, and he apparently didn't feel it the entire time. The firefighter guy, the guy that was stuck in a fire, he kicked a metal steel door down to help him and his friends escape. The woman who was in the car accident managed to lift the car up and pull her son out of it. This upsets David because it's very similar to his own story of the car wreck. He explains to his partner, Elena Marks, he explains to her that it was very similar, and this is why it upsets him, is because she could save her son and he couldn't save his wife, Laura. As you go on, he's researching, he's trying to figure this out, and he finally decides he's going to experiment on himself. He finds a graph, he's detailing the different events and the times and when they happen, and each day and event that happened on a day where there were excessive amounts of gamma radiation coming from the sun. And this is all very much pseudoscience, but it's comic books, and we go along with it because it's fun, and because the performer does a very good job of delivering these lines in a very believable way. And I'll talk about the actors here in a little bit. So he decides he's going to experiment on himself and injects himself with gamma radiation via, a science apparatus that they have at the lab. It doesn't work. At least it doesn't seem to work. He leaves the lab. He's frustrated. He's angry. He's very upset. And he has a flat tire on the way home. So he gets out of his car. Of course, it's raining. It's the middle of the night. It's terrible. And he's changing the tire, and his hands slip on the tire iron, and he ends up scuffing his knuckles, and they're bleeding. Well, this finally pushes him over the edge. He's had a cruddy day. It's been a rough year. This research is getting to him. He's done this experiment. It didn't seem to work. And now he's got a flat tire, and he's changing it, and he's hurt his hands, and he loses it. Becomes enraged and turns into the Incredible Hulk. Now, this is a series for people that have not been exposed to these characters before. So they go into great detail to describe what the Hulk is, talk about him. So he turns into the Incredible Hulk. He wanders through the woods. He ends up getting in a altercation with a hunter. Very, very Frankenstein-like. He's doing things. There's a kid. He's playing with the kid. The kid tries to get away from him and falls in the water. And so the Hulk uproots a tree log and extends it to her to help rescue her and pull her out of the water. She's screaming. Her daddy comes running. Apparently they're camping. He's got a hunting rifle. He sees the Hulk with a tree and his daughter in the lake, So he shoots the Hulk. The Hulk runs over to him, breaks the rifle, throws him into the lake, and then it kind of picks up later. David wakes up. It's David again. It's not the Hulk. He wanders to Elena Marks' house, where we're reminded that this is 80s television and there will be no nudity, because it shows about that much up of her getting out of the shower, wrapping herself in a towel. Very family friendly, this show. I would encourage you. You can watch this with your kids. So he talks to her, explains what's going on. He's dehydrated. He's drinking some water and juice and whatnot. Explains what's going on. So they decide they're going to go back to the lab and recreate this experiment. They do. They go back to the lab. They recreate the experiment. After a long, frustrating day, it's not working. He falls asleep in this pressurized chamber that they're in. David falls asleep. And he has a nightmare. And in his nightmare, while he's sleeping and having this nightmare, he transforms into the Hulk again, smashes the heck out of this pressurized chamber. But then it is eventually able to calm down. Elena calms him down, and he turns back into David. Well, this scares David immensely because he tore the heck out of this chamber, and he almost hurt his friend and partner. Come to find out, there's a reporter that's investigating these things. He stumbles upon them at this point, and he's walked into the lab. He doesn't have clearance to be there. He's in there. He's investigating because the Hulk was spotted, and it's Jack McGee. And this actor is fantastic in this role. It's the only thing I've ever seen him in. Apparently, he's been in some other things, but Jack McGee is a highlight of this show. He goes on to continue in the show, you'll see. But he's investigating. He's questioning David and Elena about this creature. They tell him, hey, it's none of your business, leave us alone. He kind of peeks around him and sees the chamber all torn up. And so he suspects that they've got something to do with this. So he comes back later. And he's sneaking around. He's checking things out. They've fed him a story. Hey, you can't go in there. You're going to get infected with the bacteria. And he obviously doesn't believe them because he comes back and investigates the area. So he's walking around. He's checking things out. And he gets found out. He's not supposed to be there. He gets found out by David and Elena. And he bumps into some chemicals on a shelf in a closet. Very dangerous chemicals, apparently. So they haul him out of the building. Elena's checking on something else. David's hauling Jack McGee out of the building. And he gives his iconic line that is in all the episode intros. Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And then the building explodes. David panics. He rushes back in. He tries to rush back into the building. He can't get back in because of the flames. And he's screaming, Elena, my God, Elena. At which point he transforms again into the Incredible Hulk. Jumps into the building, grabs Elena, jumps out of the building. It's exploding behind him. It's all practical effects as far as I know. Lou Ferrigno making a fantastic appearance as the Hulk again in this episode. And he carts Elena off into the woods, and he's the Hulk. He doesn't understand what she's saying, but she tells him that he's going to be okay. She wishes they had more time, and that she loves him. And then she dies in his arms. And you get this just heart-rending shot of the Hulk holding her, and he's breathing really heavy, and he's looking around, and he's panicking, and he screams to the heavens. It's very melodramatic, but it gets the point across. He's very sad, and she's dead. And then it kind of fades, and it's David standing at her gravestone. They finish the funeral service, and he walks up to the gravestone. Actually, I take that back. Rewind slightly. They finish the funeral service. Jack McGee is talking to another colleague of theirs, and he's got his story, large green creature kills 2 scientists. He's talking about this is what happened, and the scientist friend of theirs is saying, basically, you're a hack, you're trying to sell papers, you should leave, because these were my friends, and all you're interested in doing is profiting off their death, so you should leave. And he says, I'm going to find this creature, and it's going to pay for what it's done. Which is the I think he honestly believes this. Jack McGee honestly believes that this creature is the cause of these people's deaths, even though in reality it's Jack. Jack killed these people by knocking over that chemical in the closet and causing that explosion. Jack killed what he thinks he killed Elena and David. He ended up just killing Elena. So he leaves, and up comes David, um, with his trademark bag and his bell bottoms, and talks to the gravestone of Elena Marks and tells her, "I loved you, and I think you loved me too, even though you never said it." And this is the irony, because she did say it, he just didn't hear it because he was the Hulk at the time. And then he walks away, and the Lonely Man theme plays, and we start a 5-year journey of following this man, hoping for his cure, for his being able to love someone and settle down and be happy. And it is perfect. I love it. You can tell I'm gushing about this show. So, pros and cons. It's made in the 70s. It's 70s and 80s, I believe. So it's old. If you're not okay with old shows, if everything has to be quick and fast and, bright colors and quick cuts, you're not going to enjoy this. This is a drama, a character study, a drama about a sad, sad man who can't seem to find happiness. The show follows David as he wanders from town to town. He gets into different plots throughout the years. He'll wander into a town because he's chasing some cure, right? And while he's there, somebody will pick a fight. He'll have to rescue somebody from a bad situation. There's one episode where he's confused with a mobster because he looks identical to a mobster. There's an episode where he ends up rescuing a little boy from being abused. His father's a drunk and abusing him and his mother. And David ends up helping that guy get into a program and helping them realize that he needs to get into a program. There's episodes with murder and violence, and it's all very family friendly though, which is one of the reasons I enjoy it. And it addresses the issues of the day, right? It's one of those shows that picks an issue, focuses on it. There's episodes about drug abuse, there's episodes about physical abuse, there's episodes about crooks and criminals, and all of it with David stumbling into the next adventure. Inevitably, he'll get into some sort of an altercation, he'll Hulk out, he'll defeat the bad guys, but he'll have to end up leaving town because Jack McGee is pursuing him from town to town to town, pursuing these Hulk sightings, which provides a very convenient plot device for him to have to leave town. And there are twists and turns. There are different things that happen. There's a very, very interesting episode that happens early on that kind of changes the status quo and then changes it right back. And just gives a lot of pathos to this character of David Banner. Played wonderfully by Bill Bixby. This is a great show. They made 5 seasons of it. They made a couple of reunion movies, and then they did a final movie where, plug your ears, I'm going to give spoilers. Ready? Spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. Where David and the Hulk die at the end of the reunion movie. I would encourage you to watch this show. It's exciting. It's fun. If you've got children, you can watch it with your kids. It's pretty family friendly. There's often issues that it talks about. I don't know if you're one of those types of parents that tries to look for educational things and entertainment. It might help you bring up some uncomfortable issues that you can talk about with your kids. Like I said, there's an episode where they talk about abuse, and you can have that conversation with your kid, how to look out for themselves and recognize those sorts of things. Episodes that talk about alcoholism. There's episodes that alcoholism. Why did I just say that? Alcoholics. There's episodes that talk about drug abuse and problems. It's a very entertaining show. Very, very good. Love it to pieces. The acting is great. It is very melodramatic. It might make you sad. So if that's something that's going to happen, maybe don't watch it. I would highly recommend it. It's something I grew up on. It's The Incredible Hulk. Highly recommend it. Thoroughly entertaining. I hope you enjoy it.